in Indiana. And back on the practice field in full team settings for the Indianapolis Colts. A very, very busy end of the month of May here in the Indianapolis area. I'm Kevin Bowen. As always, Joey Molinaro rocking his Cubs World Series championship shirt today. Joey, busy time of year, certainly for the race and everything that will transpire in the Indy 500 on Sunday. We will hand out some drivers today. Nice. Our annual tradition, I think we've started here on Kevin's Corner. So I'll hand out some drivers to people asking Twitter questions and give a prize shortly. And then, obviously, OTA starting on Tuesday.
Yeah, nice to not only have the 500 hype, but also a lot of hype growing around this Colts team.
A lot of hype, yeah. And I do want to touch on the national attention a little bit later on this team that we continue to see grow. But a little bit of rundown on today's podcast. We'll recap OTA number 1, which we saw on Tuesday for the Colts. Talk about Gerald McCoy and just my thoughts on that, and I guess some of the likelihood that I think that could happen. We'll talk about the swaggiest guy on the Colts roster, Chad Kelly. What do you think? 5-1 odds he gets arrested in the infield on Sunday?
Oh, wow. I would take higher than that.
Okay.
Pretty good shot, yeah.
In all seriousness, it was. We'll get into that a little bit later, the whole Chad Kelly thing. But you don't have a lot of signings this time of year where it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And I would say Kelly falls into that category for, a multitude of reasons. So we'll touch on that as well a little bit later. And, yeah.
Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, all that.
Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher. We're on YouTube. We've had really nice YouTube numbers with the podcast really since the start of May. So if you're a YouTube person and loves to consume everything over on that medium, 1070 The Fan is your YouTube page there. And yeah, we haven't asked for a subscribe or a rate or a review in quite a while on iTunes. So if you haven't, please drop us a rating. And also, I think now that we get into it'll still be fairly newsy. I think the next 3 or 4 podcasts, Joey. But once we get into June and July, if anyone has any ideas, over-unders, topics that they want us to hit on, that maybe are a little bit bigger than just a Twitter question, maybe more of a segment, feel free to send that to us on Twitter, and we'll definitely try and hit on some of that during June and July.
Day 1 was on Tuesday. You were out there, and I think we got to start off with, it wouldn't be an off-season podcast, it seems like, if we weren't talking about an Andrew Luck injury.
It was funny. We walk out there, and they're like, and I take a quick glance over to the right field. There's 2 fields at the Colts complex, and the quarterbacks are warming up, and I'm like, why do I only see 3 red jerseys?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did Chad Kelly not pass his physical? What? Wait, there is Chad Kelly. I'm like, oh my gosh. And you know what? This is something that I think I've kind of hinted at over the past few weeks. I've kind of been like, how much will Andrew Luck work this spring? Some people kind of laughed at us. I know J&V was kind of razzing me like, what are you starting again? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm hearing a few things that maybe Andrew Luck won't fully participate in the spring, and clearly he will not. He's going to miss this week. Sounds like a minor calf strain is what Frank Reich called it. It happened earlier in the offseason program. So the offseason program works. You got phase 1, strength and conditioning and rehab. Those are the first 2 weeks. Phase 2 is 3 weeks long, and that's individual work on the field. Coaches can get on the field with players. And then now we're into phase 3, which is the final phase. That lasts 4 weeks, and that's when you get into full team sessions. Everything is voluntary until the mandatory minicamp, June 11th through the 13th. And Reich has said this, and Ballard has echoed it as well. If any player has a nick or a bruise, they're like, nope, no way. It's May 22nd. Why the hell do we need you out there? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Maybe Luck will get back out in the practice field next week. Maybe we won't see him until later in the spring. But Frank Reich did say that he expects Luck to be on the field at some point this spring. But he pretty much told Aaron Burrell and Dave Hammer, the Colts rehab people and medical people, that we will be super, super conservative with anybody. And so I'm trying to think of other guys I didn't see on the field yesterday. Leonard, Doyle, Ebron, Sheard, Gathers.
Okay, so the alarms don't need to be sounded.
No. Nothing like that. I mean, this is the ultimate rest day. So yeah, it is still, a bit, I think, disappointing in that you felt like, man, a full spring for Andrew Luck, whipping it around the yard, all that, working with Funchess, working with Campbell. Could you see this time of year really help his game? Do I think it stunts, anything for 2019 of substance? No, but it's just you would rather have him out there than not have him out there.
Even without Andrew Luck being out there, you were still able to see Mo Alley-Cox and Devin Funchess, the new addition Devin Funchess. How'd they look?
You know what, Joey? I thought those two guys, might have been the best players in the field yesterday. And frequently this time of year when you aren't wearing full pads, the pass catchers tend to be the guys that really catch your eye because it is a glorified kind of 7-on-7 setting. But what I liked about Funchess, let's start there, Joey, is you saw the variety, you saw some slot work, and when you see it in person, and we're so used to watching Colts wideouts that if they're over 6'1", it's a minor miracle. Like we aren't used to seeing big body wideouts on the Colts practice field. You watch Funchess and you see him stretch out and you see the catch radius and you're like, damn, that's big. Like that's something where you don't have to be perfect as a quarterback and you still give your guy a chance to bring that in. Now Devin Funchess has got to improve his ability to catch the football. I didn't really notice anything too alarming in that area on Tuesday. The play of the day he had was obviously Jacoby Brissett is running the first team offense without Andrew Luck, and he probably takes a 3-4 step drop, and it was just a one read. You're going to throw it up to Devin Funchess, and it is a jump ball. You go get that. Like that's one of those plays like, look, man, I'm going to try and put it in a general area. At the end of the day, you got to make me look good. And it was on Pierre Desir, one of the taller corners that the Colts have, and Funchess just went over the top of them, and it looked like the 15-year-old brother in the backyard going over the 11-year-old brother.
Yeah.
And you hate to use that comparison to like describe NFL talents, and no knock against Pierre Desir, but he's not 6'4" and 225. And that's what Devin Funchess is. So those are the plays where it's like, that's why you want him.
Did that happen in the Bowen backyard? It sounds like something that you're recalling from memory there.
I'm 6'3", and my brother's 5'11" on a good day. So it was, I might be 5 years younger, but it was me climbing the ladder.
There you go.
It was me maybe throwing a stiff arm,
Nice.
and making a play after the catch. I had a little Paris Campbell, I think, in my game.
Maybe you should dive down into Mom's photo albums and use that as a new profile picture for your brother there.
Thank you, Ryan. I know you're probably chirping right now. He's up in Canada for work over the next 2 weeks. So, Funchess turned 25 years old on Monday, Joey. That's the other thing you kind of forget about. The dude is super young. So I thought he had a nice day. Mo Alley-Cox, Joey, they're gonna work him ragged this spring. No Doyle. We might see Ebron. I don't know. It doesn't sound like there's any guarantee there. No Ross Travis either, coming off the ACL. So Mo Alley-Cox, he's your starting tight end, and that group is pretty barren right now, considering some of the spring injuries that you have. And I thought Frank Reich, some of his quotes after practice, I thought were really telling. I just posted a story on Mo Alley-Cox on 1070thefan.com that you can check out. But he pretty much is like, his next step in his development was to become a better route runner. Frank Reich said he was a very average route runner last year. And is any of this that surprising to us?
Right.
No. I mean, like, Mo Alley-Cox is incredibly young in his football life. He played college basketball at VCU, undrafted free agent in 2017. Pretty much was a practice squad guy all in 2017. And then last year, he's needed. I think I want to say he played 9 games. And it's funny, you look at his stats, 7 catches all last year. I think there were 11 Colts that caught more balls than him. But then you look at yards per catch, 19 yards per catch. And it's not like he had some 75-yard touchdown that skews everything. I think as long was maybe that Oakland play.
Yeah.
When he made the one-hander. That was a 34-yard touchdown. So, I mean, chunk plays you're seeing in his game. But what I saw Tuesday is I saw a guy that is doing some stuff underneath, running more of a complete route tree, running more of a Jack Doyle route tree. You know? It's like, okay, we saw a little Ebron last year stretching the field, but it's can you be the guy on 3rd and 4? Can you earn the trust of your quarterback? That's what I saw. I saw Jacoby Brissett just pepper him with targets, and I do think that is something where it might not all of a sudden help you out this year, but think to 2020, where Mo Alley Cox is probably your 3rd tight end coming into this year. Is he going to see some snaps? Sure. But unless Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle have a big-time injury, I still don't think Mo Alley Cox is going to play a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at 2020, and Ebron's in a contract year this fall, and so is Jack Doyle, you have a guy that I think is one of the more balanced tight end skill sets on this roster. Like, he's a lot closer to Doyle than he is necessarily just Ebron is like a one-trick pony, really. Now, it's a great trick. I mean, hell, he set a Colts record for receiving touchdowns for a tight end last year. But
yep.
I just think Alley Cox maybe fits the bill for what Frank Reich wants in this offense. So these are just great opportunities for him this spring. You know, it's great for guys like Reese Fountain and Alley Cox and Kamoko Ture and Zaire Franklin, Matthew Adams, some of these younger guys that there might be some injuries at their position, and they're having a tremendous opportunity this spring. So Mo Alley Cox, he's a name that, for early May or I guess early spring, he's showing up.
You mentioned Pierre Desir and the matchup with Devin Funchess, another primetime matchup that was happening yesterday. Campbell versus Rock Ya-Sin. A few of the big-time players that are coming in this rookie class went head-to-head.
Definitely, yeah. 2 of your second-rounders right there. First off, Rock Ya-Sin wearing 34, Joey, I just don't love it.
Really?
It's 34. I mean,
34 is a solid number.
I feel like there is a corner I'm thinking about maybe 10, 15 years ago that rocked 34. I don't know. Maybe I think I'm more of a 20 number in terms of corners.
Okay.
I like my corners in the 20s.
Yeah.
But the play in particular that I'm talking about, Campbell against Ya-Sin, came out of the slot. And Paris Campbell runs a deep crosser. I will say the ball traveled. He was lined up in the left slot and caught it on the right side of the field. I would say the ball probably traveled 20-ish yards down the field. Like, that is not a play that you immediately see when you watch Ohio State film of Paris Campbell. When you watch the highlight plays from Campbell, it's a lot of stuff he does after catch, mostly near the line of scrimmage. The play I saw yesterday was a route that you would have T.Y. Hilton run. It was more of your go-to NFL type of route, and I think that's so vital for him and his development. Frank Reich is adamant that he will get there. He will run the full route tree. He can do that. It's going to take some time, and the Colts don't need him to do it from day one. But it was really, I think, good to see, like, all right, that is there. I think Brissett threw him the ball, and Brissett did not have a great day at all. Rock actually had a pick where Jacoby just made a terrible read, and Rock, one of those basket catches. Rock's in zone. He's kind of like, oh, my gosh.
Found it.
Did you really throw the ball to me?
It's like when, what's his name, for the Titans, threw it right to Leonard.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas Oil.
Was it Gabbert?
There it is.
Yeah.
I want to say Volek, but I was like, that's not Volek, but Gabbert.
Insert, Titans quarterback here. It might have been Locker.
Right.
Yeah, it was gifted for sure. But, I just think that's key for Paris Campbell. He was the second punt returner for the Colts yesterday. Chester Rodgers was the first. And ultimately, Joey, I think that is going to be, I feel like we get a Chester Rodgers question every week. Chester Rodgers has got to assert himself as a punt returner. And honestly, if you're Chester Rodgers, I know this might sound bad. You want Paris Campbell to screw up as a punt returner.
Yeah.
You do. Like,
deep down.
If you and me are about 5-10 feet apart right now, if you're Paris Campbell and I'm Chester Rodgers and that ball's in the air, I might be going, whoa,
Newton.
oh, God, jeez.
Yeah.
Left, back. It's one of those things. I think for Chester Rodgers to make the team, he's got to be your punt returner.
Yeah.
And if Paris Campbell can do that, then that all of a sudden allows the Colts, I think, to play with numbers maybe elsewhere to where you don't necessarily have to keep Chester Rodgers as that punt returner. So we'll see how Campbell does in that development.
What's the depth chart looking like? No, it's late May, but we got to talk about it.
You got to. It's your first time since what? January 10th. The Colts are on the practice field in a full team setting. I ran down some of those injuries earlier, so let's keep those in mind. But this is what it looked like early on, Joey. Offense, normal starting five on the O-line. No surprises there. Costanzo, Nelson, Kelly, Glowinski, and Smith. Mo Cox, your tight end. They opened up in 3 wide. That was Hilton, Funchess, Rodgers. Not surprised by that at all. No rookie started on, and I put start in quotes, started on day one. Marlon Mack was your running back, and Jacoby Brissett was your quarterback. So, outside of luck, I guess, no real surprises there. Then on the defensive side, Joey, this unit had a little more interchanging, but the D-line group was Justin Houston, Marcus Hunt, Danico Autry, Al-Qadim Muhammad, and again, no Jabal Sheard, so that's where I think Al-Qadim Muhammad comes in the starting lineup. Your linebackers, I'm pretty sure initially, and this group changed probably more so than any other group on Tuesday, was Matthew Adams and Sky Moore in your nickel. I wonder if Anthony Walker's team reps are maybe being monitored a little bit because he was banged up at times last year, but Walker rotated in. Same with Zaire Franklin as well. Again, no Darius Leonard right now. And then in the secondary, I thought it was good to see Malik Hooker out there. He's a guy that has not been on the practice field. That was his first spring work, now that I think about it. Had the hernia coming out of college and had the ACL last spring. So him and Matthias Farley coming off the wrist injury, which put him on injured reserve last October. Those were your safeties. I guess a guy that I didn't really look too much for. I need to look for more on Tuesday or next Wednesday. We only watch one OTA per week, for those wondering. It's Kari Willis. Need to keep more of an eye on him. Then at corner, you had Pierre Desir, Kenny Moore, and Quincy Wilson. You opened up in nickel. And guys that also rotated in were Kamoko Ture on your defensive line. So nothing really jumps off the page at me as majorly surprising, Joey. I always like that, okay, this is where you're starting from here in week 1. Now let's see how it changes next week. How does it change in the final week of OTAs, the week after that? And then what does it look like when you wrap up minicamp June 11th through the 13th? So, again, all of this is on 1070thefan.com in a notebook form. A lot of other little tidbits in there. Ben Banagoo mostly working as an edge guy at OTAs on Tuesday. I could see that work kind of shifting almost daily or weekly for him from linebacker to defensive line. But, those were some of the key points from day one.
To start the week, we had the news that broke that the Bucs and Gerald McCoy were, in their terms, mutually parting ways. So Gerald McCoy hitting the free agent market. What's the interest? A lot of people are wondering if the Colts and McCoy would make a good marriage.
Yeah. Do you see they end up signing they signed Ndamukong Suh?
Did, yeah.
So they traded McCoy out, I guess, for Suh. Joey, I will start with this. Because we have so many questions throughout the offseason about Suh, and then now the Gerald McCoy questions have certainly picked up pace. McCoy, to me, makes a whole lot more sense than Suh, and I think a lot of that comes from character. I mean, anybody you hear talk about Gerald McCoy absolutely raves about him, so I think that is a plus. Similar scheme, Mike Fair, the Colts defensive line coach, was in Tampa Bay in 2014, so there is familiarity there. McCoy wants to go to a winner. That you would think checks that box here in Indy. And then lastly, he brings a pass rush element. And I know Gerald McCoy at the age of 31 isn't the same guy we saw, 6-7 years ago. But I think he's had 7 straight years of at least 5 sacks. That's pretty good from the defensive tackle spot.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a good amount of pros. Now, there are some cons. Age. You bring him in here, you're already starting pretty much 4 guys that are all hovering around age 30. Now you throw another guy into the mix there. Does that stunt maybe some of the young development of a Tyquan Lewis, of a Jihad Ward, some other guys? And then also, when I look at the defensive tackle need, Joey, I look at it more so as a wide body run stuffer and not so much as a little bit more of a slippery defensive tackle that can help you out on passing downs. I've talked about it before. Right now, Grover Stewart is your only defensive lineman over 300 pounds on the roster. Well, Gerald McCoy might be 300 pounds, but we don't think of him as like, there's your hog molly Vince Wilfork in the middle. And I know Vince Wilfork.
Hog molly. Nice.
I feel like I've used that now a couple times.
Yeah.
He's not just that run stuffer first, second down, maybe comes off the field then on passing down. So I don't think it's a slam dunk by any means. Again, I think there are reasons why you would make such a move, but I think there are also reasons why you wouldn't make such a move. And I know Chris Ballard said this last week before Gerald McCoy was officially released, but he kind of likes that defensive line group, especially a defensive tackle. He's a big fan of Lewis. He's mentioned Lewis and Autry competing for that 3 technique spot. That's a second-round pick in Lewis, and that's an Autry who should have been a Pro Bowl alternate last year if he wasn't. I'm not 100% if he was or not. He was a Pro Bowl caliber player at times for you last year. 8 or 9 sacks. He didn't play in all 16 games either. And then you got a guy like Jihad Ward, who you really like, another former second-rounder. So I just don't think there's the most pressing need when you talk about McCoy filling in at the 3 technique. I look at him more as that nose tackle in your 4-3, which I guess right now would go to Marcus Hunt maybe as your starter in there.
I saw a tweet where somebody said McCoy to the Colts would be like the Booger McFarland move in 07. It would solidify it and push him over the top.
Yeah, I also saw that as well. The Tampa connection certainly coming into play. Would Gerald McCoy bolster that group? Without a doubt. But I think where you really want, like if you were going to put on the board, rank where we are weakest in skill sets. So if you're Matt Eberflus, what skill set are we weakest at on the defensive line? I would think the run-stuffing defensive tackle would be atop the list. Obviously edge rusher would be up there, just pure speed guy off the edge. But in terms of your interior defensive line and what those guys bring to the table, I think the run-stuffing element would be priority number 1. And I just don't think Gerald McCoy necessarily achieves that for the amount of money that you still think he's going to merit. He's not going to merit $13 million. But the Colts are in a terrific position that if they want to make a move, they can. They got the cap space. Not going to count against the old compensatory picks. Not that that matters. Colts probably won't get any next year. But there are a lot of reasons why this makes sense. If you're going to make me choose, I'll say no. But again, if I woke up tomorrow morning and it was Colts signed Gerald McCoy, I would not be shocked.
One of the more surprising signings, I guess, is when they bring in Chad Kelly. What's going on with that?
Yeah, Chad Kelly, Joey. Watching him Tuesday, man, he's got some arm talent you just don't usually see from a 4th quarterback. You're used to the undrafted guys, coming in and being Brian Bennett and I'm trying to think of the other 4th quarterbacks the Colts have had over the years. I'm
Brad Kaya.
Brad Kaya, thank you. Philip Walker. To be frank, Chad Kelly whips it around a little bit more velocity. They're
definitely not Stephen Morris.
Yeah. God. Preseason Ring of Honor, Stephen frickin' Morris. God bless him. He should have beat out Tolzien.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not trying to channel my like Mel Kiper in me, but there's arm talent. There's just like, damn, who is that? You're kind of like, what?
Yeah.
You know? And he also kind of looks like a fullback.
He's thicker.
He's thick.
Yeah. Got tattoos and stuff.
Yeah, he's thick. Just doesn't look like your pretty boy, 6'5", 210, slender quarterback.
That's swag, man.
Yeah, that's Chad Swag Kelly. And I'm pumped to watch him in the preseason. Like, nothing I hate more than the third and fourth quarter of preseason games. But if Chad's coming in there and he's going to fling it a little bit,
makes it a little interesting.
I'm going to be watching. And now I think there just is a storyline of like, do you keep a third quarterback? Do you not? Do you sneak a guy to the practice squad? This guy was Denver's backup for 2 months last year. So there's a resume there.
So Chris Ballard did us a favor. He's creating storylines for us. Looking out for the
I was going to say, not
media.
many 88, 89, 90 guys on your roster create that storyline.
Yeah.
But Chad Kelly does create that. Couple things. The Colts are adamant that even if Luck was full go yesterday, they still would have signed a fourth quarterback. He was in here during the rookie minicamp as a tryout guy, so they saw... Or they pretty much got some film work on Chad Kelly then. Frank Reich has talked to Jim Kelly a good amount, in this process. Jim Kelly being the uncle of Chad Kelly. Jim Kelly, of course, one of Frank Reich's very close friends, has been involved in the mentorship of Chad Kelly as he gets his, I don't think we can call it a second chance, Joey. This is probably chance. I think back to when LeBron was introduced as a Heat. Remember the Heat? Not 1, not 2, not 3. How many did he get? 2?
I think 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, he only got 2.
LeBron did. Yeah. But, he did get 2.
He got to 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Well, with Chad Kelly right now, I'm sorry. It's not 1. This is about chance 5 or 6, to be perfectly honest. Arrested in Buffalo, I think before he ever got to Clemson. Kicked off Clemson's team. Goes to junior college and goes to Ole Miss, goes to Denver. He's at Von Miller's Halloween party, arrested for trespassing. I believe he's pled guilty to that. The NFL says a suspension still could possibly come. So yeah, this is quite a few chances. And Frank Reich did admit, like, my relationship with Jim Kelly definitely played into this signing. He didn't hide from that, which I appreciate Frank's candor in that. There also is some real talent there in Chad Kelly. So, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, what a hypocrite Ballard is for making this signing. And I think Ballard has made it pretty clear. I will sign a Jalen Collins. I will sign a Chad Kelly because at the end of the day, you should be lucky we're giving you another chance. And I'm not giving you $15 million. If you're giving Le'Veon Bell $15 million and he ain't showing up,
like he isn't,
that's an issue. Chad Kelly is making the league minimum? So is Jalen Collins probably. Like, these guys will be very fortunate to make the 53-man roster. So I think that's how Ballard looks at it. People can call him a hypocrite and whatnot, whatever. But I think when he talks about taking a risk, he means you have given that person resources to where everyone else in the locker room's like, damn, he spent a second-round pick on that guy? Or damn, he gave him $13 million? Dude, he's giving Chad Kelly a chance.
Throwing him a bone.
There's 40 other guys that have a chance in that locker room right now. I don't think this does anything for the Jacoby Brissett trade market or anything like that. Brissett, I think, is your backup this year. I think if you can, you try and sneak Chad. If Chad Kelly shows you something, doesn't get arrested, then you try to keep on your 53. You try to sneak him to the practice squad. And then next March, maybe he's your backup. So I just think what you've done is you've rounded out a position with a higher ceiling player, and we'll see if he can behave. Because ultimately, I think that might be the biggest thing.
So you had Chad Kelly signing, Gerald McCoy. Is he going to be here? Is he not going to get signed by the Colts? But also this week, you're really starting to see the national attention for this team really start to grow.
Dude, it is. Frank Reich ain't going to be holding up no 32 power ranking signed in any post-game locker room this year.
Mm-mm.
Peter King had him third. So maybe take off the 2 and just hold up a 3 and say, Boom.
That's where we are. Yeah.
And now I think Frank Reich certainly has to change more of his motivational tactic of like you can't play the underdog role. But, as a player, I would think that, all right, all these people expect us to be good. Let's live up to that. Let's prove them right. Prove them wrong is a lot easier to do. Why not prove them right? And the schedule's going to get tougher and all of that. But when you start looking at the national accolades, Albert Breer this week saying the Colts have won the offseason. Peter King's got them third in the power rankings. Mel Kiper's picking them to win the Super Bowl. You're not flying under any radar. Not flying under any radar. I thought the Albert Breer article this week, so he does his own Monday morning quarterback version for their website now that Peter King has left and gone to Pro Football Talk. And it was led all about the Colts. Ballard had several quotes in there. I thought a couple of things stood out to me. It sounds like it, and I guess this makes sense, and certainly we heard this a few months ago. The Devin Funchess move was more of Frank Reich kind of pounding his fist a little bit. Like, I like him. I want him. And we've heard that, Frank Reich, almost went down to Ballard's office and was like 6'4", 225. Yes. I'm watching film. I like what I see out of the slot, things like that. It was also interesting to hear Reich say all this stuff about Funchess yesterday about how he showed that he can run and catch the in cut. And the in cut is one of Andrew Luck's favorite routes. So that's something that I think, again, they feel good about. Like, all right, this guy can be your outside. He can also play in the slot a little bit. So whereas Funchess was maybe more of a coaching thing, Justin Houston probably was more of a Chris Ballard initiative-driven thing, where similar to what we've seen from Anthony Costanzo, and we could touch on this on later podcasts, but what we heard from Anthony Costanzo last week about, Rusty Jones and how much the new strength program has helped him maybe prolong his career, the Colts feel like Rusty Jones' impact can do the same thing for Justin Houston, who is a guy that I think just turned 30 or maybe 29. I mean, right in that similar age gap to Anthony Costanzo. But I think what Ballard likes is he made those two signings at positions of need, but it's a 1-year deal and a 2-year deal. There's still the flexibility there long-term, and he loves the whiteout group in 2020. And we're a month out of the draft. It's more of a safe period. I feel a little better answering a draft question. It's kind of like I just cracked my head open in the pool. Now I'm like dipping my toe in.
Yeah.
Just kind of gently going in there.
Yeah.
This receiver group in 2020 looks pretty special. So I think that is also something to keep an eye on. And it's something that we've definitely mentioned on this podcast, but Breer pretty much confirmed the Colts were in on 2 big-ticket free agents on the defensive side of the ball. And I think based off everything we have said and heard, those big-ticket free agents would be Landon Collins and C.J. Mosley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, I in general, Joey, I think a lot of people love the underdog role a little bit more than being that hunted. Everyone's coming after you. But this is probably what you're going to have to get used to. Like, this is going to be life for the Colts for the next 5 to 10 years, and they should fully embrace it. I thought from a regular season standpoint, the Peyton Manning era embraced it very, very well. But now the schedule's going to get tougher, and we'll see just how much the Colts can live up to the outside noise this year.
All right, let's get into some Twitter questions, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to give away drivers to all 34 of them, right? It's 34.
33.
33.
Yeah.
Right,
33. Yeah, so let's do that. We did it last year. Like I said, Joey will DM the winner, and we'll get your address and send you some prize.
All right, this is from at Fan of Nuance, and they get Simon Pagano.
Wow.
Pole sitter.
Hot.
Yeah. Fan of Nuance asks, how does the Indy brass really feel about LaRaven Clark? And especially if they sour on him, what about Antonio Garcia?
Well, I think they're content with Clark for now. I think if they would have had a bigger worry on them, they would have made a tackle move in the free agency market or would have drafted a tackle earlier than, Jackson Barton in round 7. Having said that, I think, are ready to kind of give him a kick in the you-know-what of like, it's the final year of your rookie contract, man. You were a 3rd-round pick. Let's show up. I do think you are an Anthony Costanzo injury away from like, man, what does your tackle depth look like? So I was a bit surprised, like I said, that they didn't draft a tackle higher. But for now, it's LaRaven Clark as your backup guy.
All right, Roman asks, how hard is it to temper expectations given the fact that they are one of the hottest teams in the NFL? And Roman gets Ed Carpenter.
Roman, the Indy native with Ed Carpenter, he gets the Butler grad. I don't know if he's Indy native. I think he's from Illinois, actually.
Yeah.
Went to Butler. Temper expectations. I don't think in today's age, I don't know how you really temper expectations. I think you just have to embrace them.
Yep.
I don't think you can run away from them and try and play this. You can't try and lie inside your building of like, let's play up the underdog card again. Find the Fox Sports person that has us power ranked 12th.
Yeah.
You can't, I just don't think you can do that. I think you just got to be like, look, they think we're going to be good. We think we're going to be good. Let's effing go. I think it's that mindset. And I think that message and the whole 1% and all that, all the things that Frank Reich says, you combine those things, I think that'll light a fire into your room. And I think it'll set an expectation of like, hey, the bar was already pretty high. We've pushed it higher, and you better meet it. And if you don't meet it, you're not going to be here very long.
Rounding out row 1, Blake gets Spencer Piggott. And Blake asks, you have to do a case race against Taylor Lewan, Jack Conklin, Josh Klein, and Quentin Spain of the Tennessee Titans, and your life depends on it. What 3 Indianapolis Colts are you choosing to help you delete some beers to save your life?
Oh, my God.
Fitting for race weekend.
Fitting. That sounds like something that could happen in the Coke lot or the infield. Wow, Blake. We heard from Quentin Nelson yesterday, first off, Joey, and he said that Taylor Lewan and him, did the Cardi B video.
Yep.
Took about 25 minutes to get the
choreography.
Yeah. The dance moves and the lyrics, synced up and all of that down.
Did he say if they had it on the screen next to him, or did they just memorize it and then match it up?
I think memorized it.
Yeah.
And he thought the first take was great, but he says Taylor Lewan is a perfectionist and wanted to do it again, and they killed it the second time, I think was the exact quote from Quentin Nelson. So
nice.
Quentin Nelson is pretty high on that list. I'm going to put Quentin Nelson on my team.
Yeah.
So I get three Colts?
Yeah.
I got to go with Chad Kelly.
Right? Perfect timing. He's saving you.
Perfect timing. I mean, was this signing due to the, did they think about this before race weekend?
Yeah.
All right. Nelson, Kelly, and I don't know, man.
What about Ryan Kelly?
Yeah.
Or Mark Golinsky?
I was thinking Glow. Ryan Kelly would be good, though, I think. I'll go with Glowinski.
Yeah, he just looks like a beer smasher.
I tweeted out a couple weeks ago that video of like Mike McGlinchey and the San Jose Sharks, or the San Francisco 49ers players at the San Jose Sharks game in the suite. They're just like slamming beers against each other's heads and dumping them on each other. I'm thinking to myself, Pacers playoff game next year, that has got to happen with Quentin Nelson and that crew.
Yeah. CTE, it all doesn't come from football. You keep smashing these beers on your head.
It's a long off season.
Can't sue the NFL now, guys. All right, Philip Nelson will start row 2 with Ed Jones, and Philip Nelson wants to know what undrafted free agent addition stands out the most to you so far.
I'm disappointed we haven't seen Penny Hart yet. He was probably the most decorated name, and I think he's been banged up since rookie minicamp. The guy that's getting a great opportunity is our boy Hale, Hale is a guy that I think at tight end from Alabama, Funchess, I believe is how you say it. With the injuries you have right now to Doyle and Ebron and Travis, he's getting a lot of run. So, again, we've watched one OTA session. I'm not going to act like there are, a ton of definite answers there, but he wasn't a guy that I at least saw the jersey number yesterday and had to look down and be like, okay, all right.
The rookie Colton Herta goes to Sam Sinclair, and Sam asks, what could be the death of the Colts that holds them back in 2019, excluding injury?
Excluding injury, I would say, Funchess and Houston maybe not reaching the levels that you think. If all of a sudden you start to sputter at receiver, does Paris Campbell not get, is he just a gadget guy for you? Because if Funchess struggles, now there's more on the way to the shoulders of Paris Campbell. If Justin Houston doesn't become, more of that pass rushing edge consistent threat for you, that's a lot on Kamoko Turi and things like that. So I would go with those two, Funchess and Houston specifically. Injuries is probably the biggest thing, but he's not letting me pick that, so I'll go with those.
Last year's defending champ, Will Power, goes to Aaron Coffey, and Aaron asks, is Chester Rodgers on the outside looking in with this wide receiver core?
That's a good question, Aaron, so you probably deserve a good driver. I don't think just yet. But, yeah, I don't think it wasn't a great day for Chester yesterday. I've always probably been more of a Chester guy than most. This is a big camp. He's got to not only just provide ball security as a punt returner, but I think he's got to, as a smaller, shiftier slot receiver, he can separate himself a little bit from the other skill groups of wideouts you would think competing with him for that job. And I think he's got to make sure that that he's able to prove himself. So I would say right now, 55% chance he makes the team.
We'll start row 3 with Benjamin, our guy Benjamin. He'll get Sebastian Bourdais. And Ben wants to know, I read something this morning about the new O-line coaches focusing more on technique than anything. Will this year translate to less or more sacks than last year, while Googe was more focused on nastiness?
Well, it's so hard to achieve the sack number that you allowed last year. I would say there's just a huge emphasis on technique. A huge, detail-oriented technique. That is the common phrase you hear from all the offensive linemen. Nastiness, I think, just kind of comes out when you get on the field. I don't know how much can you coach nastiness?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of ingrained in their DNA,
right? And then I think it's a player-driven thing. I think that rubs off on the guys around you. But yeah, detail-oriented stuff in terms of fundamentals and technique.
All right, Josef Newgarden. Some people say I look like Josef Newgarden.
I could see that for sure. Yeah,
I had somebody come up to me at last year's Carb Day when I was working for the Fan, and they were like, can we get a picture?
That's a good thing.
And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're Josef Newgarden, right?
Were you rocking the hat or no?
Yeah, I had the hat on. See, and I had sunglasses on too.
Oh, so, yeah. If you rock, yeah. If you somehow found I think he's I think it's some oil company.
Yeah,
sponsors him. But you could find that fire suit. You get a lot of selfies coming.
Yeah, with put sunglasses on.
Hell yeah.
They'd never know. All right, Josef Newgarden goes to Marcus, and Marcus asks, what amount of money does Justin Houston need to give to Anthony Walker to get his number, because Walker said the initial offer wasn't enough.
It must be a lot of money. Anthony Walker is a 5th-round draft pick. You would think that he'd be open to some sort of value. But, yeah, he was pretty adamant that it was not enough what Justin Houston was offering him. So,
well, Walker's Northwestern guy. He's smart.
Yeah.
And he realizes, hey, Houston, he's cashed in a few times. Let's fork it over.
He knows the value.
Yep.
Certainly there. So yeah, I like Anthony Walker keeping 50. I think that's a good number for him.
Last of row 3, my pick to win this year's 500, Alexander Rossi, goes to Colts fan in Carolina, and they say, we saw some incredible things last season from Mo Alley Cox. What's his ceiling?
Well, I think his ceiling is really high, but I think that ceiling might not be reached for a couple more years. I don't think he'll have the opportunities to reach that. I always thought with Eric Swope, Joey, injuries obviously hurt him, but when I watched Swope, he wasn't that natural of a catcher. I always just kind of felt like, man, you had that one kid at recess that you really didn't want to throw the football to, and you just kind of, I hope he catches it, I hope he catches it. I always kind of felt that was Swope. Just didn't look as natural to me as Alley Cox looks as a catcher. And Alley Cox has got a great frame on him, 6'5", 265. So I think it's high. I think he can be a starting tight end in this league, and maybe even more than that. I do. But, again, development is needed and opportunity is needed. And how the Colts handle Ebron and Doyle next spring, I think will dictate a lot of what they believe in Alley Cox.
The start of row 4, card 10, number 98, Marco Andretti goes to Patrick Wilson. And Patrick has 2 questions, quick ones. The Chad Kelly edition, what's the plan? And the likelihood Gerald McCoy makes his way to the Colts.
Chad Kelly, I think practice squad is the ideal plan. I just don't see I don't like keeping a third quarterback on your 53-man roster. That's hard for me crunching numbers. Gerald McCoy, right now I put it at 40%. I think Gerald McCoy can really happen. I do. I think there's going to be a good amount of suitors as well in the mix. So, yeah, we'll go 40%.
Sorry, KB, I mixed those up. Patrick gets Connor Daly, actually. And Bellamy, the next question, what are the expectations for Tyquan Lewis this year?
I think to be a fringe starter, rotate in on the defensive line. I still think you start Marcus Hunt and Danico Autry at defensive tackle, but I think Tyquan Lewis should play a lot. He's going to be a three technique for you.
Anton wants to know, how did the later round guys look on their first day? I feel like we focus only on their first 4 rounds, and he gets Elio Castroneves.
Anton, great pick. The guy I noticed, Joey, was Marvell Tell. He's just got some size. EJ Speed was around the ball a little bit more. What they do is they typically run starters on one field, reserves on the other field at the same time. So it's kind of like you almost hope there's like a 10-second delay between the starters running a play and the second teamers running a play or third teamers running a play. So it's hard to watch both. But I noticed the size of Tell, and I did notice Speed a little bit more. But again, it's one day. I need a lot more days on the practice field before I can give accurate answers.
Row 5 starts off with Marcus Eriksen, and that driver will go to Joshua Sutton, who says, given what he did at the end of last season with the ankle, does T.Y. being out there this week mean anything more to his teammates than just him being healthy?
Sorry, give that to me one more time from Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua wants to know, or he says, given what he did, he being T.Y. at the end of last season with the ankle, does T.Y. being out there this week mean anything more to his teammates other than just being healthy?
I don't think so. It's May 22nd, man. If those teammates don't believe that T.Y. Hilton's tough enough after what he did late last year, then they shouldn't be in that locker room. It was remarkable what he did to close out that season.
Takuma Sato, the 2017 Indy 500 champ, goes to Matt T, and Matt T asks, do you think we have seen peak performance from Andrew Luck, or do you think he has an even higher ceiling?
Oh, no, higher ceiling, Matt. Yeah. I would say things that, Andrew Luck being a better road quarterback in the playoffs. But we're getting to that point now where we're really nitpicking, He set career highs in completion percentage. He set career highs in passer rating, like things like that. Now it's, okay, can you be a top 5 offense perennial? Can you eliminate, your team in the negative plays, pre-snap stuff, run plays, turnovers, things like that? That's where we're starting to nitpick with Andrew Luck. But yeah, I would say the ceiling. This guy was thought of as Peyton Manning, right? Isn't that the name that we threw out there when he was drafted? So the ceiling better be high. Has he won an MVP?
Has he won a Super Bowl?
No. So yeah, I firmly believe the ceiling is high, and it should be high for Andrew Luck.
Last in row 5, the 33 card, James Davison goes to Creek. And Creek asks,
James Davison finished last year.
Yeah, that was my driver. Won $15 back from him last year because he was the first out off his pool. Never doing it again. From Creek, I read that Luck was going to work with Tom House at some point during the offseason. Have you heard anything to that effect?
Well, nothing. No. Andrew Luck said a month ago he hadn't thrown since the end of the season, and then the calf injury happened during training. So I don't think there's been a lot of time for Luck to throw or go to Tom House. I would expect that to happen kind of the mid-June to training camp. I think that's when Luck really, really ramps things up.
We'll start in row 6 with fan favorite Tony Kanaan, and
DK.
He'll go to David. And David says, we always heard about Manning working with wide receivers in the offseason out of private locations. Any concern Luck hasn't even thrown a ball, let alone had a secret camp?
I don't have a high level of concern. Is it ideal? No. Did Andrew Luck not throw a football until pretty much July last year and have a great season? Yes.
Well, remember those stories from Chester Rodgers, those Instagram
Right,
stories.
Stanford
Yeah,
action.
it was never fully revealed, right, that it was him.
Never fully
it
revealed.
looked
But
like
again,
it.
that happened in the time frame that we're going to embark on here in a month or so.
Yeah.
That the summer break time, July 4th-ish stuff. So I, again, fully expect Luck to do the same. Probably have a little bit more than just Chester Rodgers. I think getting together, like, let's say Andrew Luck misses 2 weeks here of OTAs. So only gets 2 weeks. The final week of OTAs and the mandatory minicamp. I think getting together Devin, Funchess, and Paris Campbell in late June, early July would make a lot of sense to me. And Luck has done that, I think, almost annually when he's been able to throw. He's done it some at Stanford, and I know he's done some in Miami as well.
Over halfway home here with the drivers, and we'll go to the face of Steak and Shake, Graham Rahal starting 17th
Steak and Shakes
Sunday.
are closing, man. I'm pissed.
I know. I'm scared.
I'm furious.
I got to get my Steak and Shake fix in.
God, I love
That's not
Steak and
good.
Shake. Is the
Dang.
one downtown closed yet?
I don't think so. I hope
Combine
not.
people keep that open every year.
Yeah. Let's see. Who's this going to? This is going to Robbie. And Robbie asks, who do you think will be a surprise player this year?
That's a good question, Robbie. I do expect Tyquan Lewis to make a jump. I think a guy like Moali Cox is an injury away. I'm probably still more on the Jordan Wilkins bandwagon than most, Joey. It's tough when you bring back 21 starters and you go into free agency and you make 2 significant moves. I don't think there's like a real there's not like a close to being I could see that happening. There's just not a lot of guys on this roster. Like an injury is going to have to occur, I think, for some guys to be a surprise and to emerge on the depth chart. Whether that is a George Odom or a Nate Hairston having a resurgence, things like that. So I don't have a great answer there, Robbie. Wilkins. Maybe one of the linebackers. Like, should we completely write off Matthew Adams just yet, or is he a guy that can help out on rundowns for you against run-heavy teams?
Yeah.
Who knows?
All right, last of row 6, Scott Dixon goes to Matt. Matt, you got Scotty D, and Matt wants to know, any chance Luck's strained calf is due to a relapse of his shoulder injury?
Oh, my God. I really hope not, Matt. No,
alarms are sounding.
Oh, my gosh. No, from everything, it sounds like this is pretty minor, and it's May 22nd, and hopefully he'll be back out there next week, and we'll see him whipping around the yard. Man, give him a terrible driver. Did we give him a terrible driver? Just for that question. What? We got Scott Dixon?
We can switch things around. Scott Dixon, he's row 6. He's starting 18.
But it's Scott Dixon. That's a good driver for a shitty question.
All right, row 7, Oriole Servia is going to C.W. Moran, and C.W. wants to know who has more touches / catches this season, Campbell or Hines?
CW, great question.
Yeah.
Great question. I'll go with Campbell. I'm kind of nervous about our guy.
There's got to be enough of a niche in there.
I know. That'll be really close. That'll be a good one to watch to see how those rules change and just in general those numbers.
Good example of a question we could use for over the summer.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Great example.
All right, car 20, or starting 20th here, number 23, Charlie Kimball is going to official YOLO Swag, regular contributor here, YOLO Swag, and he asks, who do you think would bowl a perfect game? Quentin Nelson, Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly, or Anthony Walker?
Are they bowlers?
I haven't seen anything about it.
I'll go with Anthony Walker. Yeah.
Best athlete of the bunch, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, when you're a taller guy, it's kind of hard to get down to the lanes, really get down and get the spin on the ball. So we'll go with Anthony Walker.
Okay. Starting 21st, last in row 7, number 48, Jair Hildebrand, and that's to Chop Block. Odds on favorite to win the QB3 job, and if Kelly or Walker are suitable backups in a post-Brissett world.
Well, that is to be determined. I would say definitely no on Phillip Walker. I'm not going into next year with Phillip Walker as my backup quarterback if I'm Chris Ballard. Chad Kelly, maybe. He's got to prove himself a lot over the next few months on and off the field. QB3 job. I've watched Chad Kelly throw a football for 90 minutes, in a practice setting. I need to see a little bit more. And is there even a QB3 job? You know, I mean, that could be a practice squad quarterback, and sometimes you want your practice squad quarterback maybe to do other things than maybe you want a mobile quarterback if you're playing a bunch of mobile guys coming up. So, again, there is arm talent with Chad Kelly, but he's got a long way to go before I'm saying he's making the 53-man roster.
Let's get it rolling in row 8 with Ryan Hunter-Ray, a 2014 Indy 500 champ, and that'll go to Greg. And Greg wants to know, which tight end would you say has a higher ceiling, Mo or Travis?
Mo. I really like Travis, but I think he's more of your receiver. Whereas I think Mo Alley Cox can be more of your well-rounded tight end.
Maybe my favorite name in the race, Santino Ferrucci.
Sounds like a great Italian meal.
I love the name Santino. That's a badass. From Godfather.
Santino Molinaro.
Oh, so cool. Number 23, starting 23rd, I should say. That goes to Taylor. Taylor asks, with the possibility of Pascal getting cut, who are some of the other possible options to return kickoffs?
Campbell. Yeah, I think that job will go to Paris Campbell.
Harold Horseshoe gets Matthias Laced, the last in row 8, starting the outside. And the over-under, Justin Houston will have 9 sacks this year. Over-under.
Over. Yeah. I'll go with 10.5 for Justin Houston. The Colts think he can be even more than that. They think he can be, almost a teen sack guy, or maybe even bigger than that. Honestly,
we'll start with the last third here, or I don't know how to break down to 11ths, but
row 9,
10, 11 here. We're getting down to it. Brett Stockglausner.
This is where you pray.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Should have gotten in sooner. He gets Jack Harvey, and Brett wants to know, can I count on my favorite Colts podcasters to be rooting for the Blues in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh, yeah. I'm all in on the Blues. I used to have a Blues mug back in the day with all these autographs. One of those mugs they'd probably sell like in the gift shop. They probably signed, whatever. They're probably fake signatures, honestly.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Blues fan.
Sure. Boston's been there too much. Enough of Boston.
We don't in this market we don't cheer for Boston. St. Louis needs that.
Yeah, I hate the Cardinals almost more than anything, but I get down with the Blues. It's it's been a while. Well, it's been like 60 years or something.
It's been quite a while. So I know Sharks had never won it, right? Or Carolina. Carolina had won it once. I'm trying to think of the teams that are left in the Final Four. Boston's won it a bunch. Carolina, I think, had won it once, and the Blues have never won it.
Yeah, I know that pain. So, Brett, good luck to you.
Good luck, Brett.
We'll be polling for sure. All right, let's see. Jordan King will go starting 26. We'll go to Barking Cow, the Barking Cow, and they ask, with Brissett's aging contract, do you think the likelihood of him being traded this season increases, and do you think if a contender loses their QB1, he's the top available guy?
Interesting. The Barking, what is it?
Also, the Barking Cow asks, when are you going to come to your pod from the Barking Cow in beautiful Gaston, Indiana? We dish up delicious ice cream and tasty victuals in Gaston, Indiana. That's their bio.
Wow. I'm looking it up. Just north of Muncie. Man. If training camp was still in Anderson, that could be a quick stop.
Dang.
You know what? I get the question, but I feel like it's unlikely that Jacoby is on the trade block, because then all of a sudden it's like, okay, is Chad Kelly your backup? Is Philip Walker your backup? I would be really surprised if Jacoby Brissett is traded this year. I would. I don't know if the NFL view is as high on Jacoby Brissett as maybe the Colts view is.
And if you're thinking of this year as a Super Bowl kind of year, why are you going to give up something for the future? Whereas if maybe luck is down for a game or two, that could affect your chance.
Could affect home field,
yeah,
something like that. I think at this point the Colts would be content with getting a compensatory pick for Jacoby Brissett down the road.
All right, then last of row 9, starting 27th, Ben Hanley, Chevrolet driver there, Chevrolet car, I should say. That goes to Lucas, and Lucas says, outside of the obvious splash signing, McCoy, Berry, who do you think could be a late addition to the Colts who can make an impact similarly to Mike Mitchell, Dontrell Inman, even Mike Adams?
I'd be lying to you if I knew all those street free agents right now. How about Mike Mitchell?
Still out there. Some people are saying he might go back to the Steelers.
Oh, boy. Honestly, there's been injuries at safety before. He's proven that he can come in and not need a whole lot of learning time, and he already knows this defense to a degree. So, again, I haven't really looked too deep into the street free agents. I think a guy like Spencer Ware was a good one to get ahead of and get that one in the building. I'll be, that's something I think once you see a 53-man roster cut down and then the veteran free agent pool gets a little bit deeper, that'll be something to keep an eye on.
This has changed because it's happened on May 2nd, so obviously we've had some time here, but the latest one I could find of free agents who are still out there, Trey Boston, Eric Berry,
Boston.
Mo Claiborne, Collins got picked up by the Patriots, Sue's with the Buccaneers, Shane Ray's with the Ravens.
Yeah, Boston's a name that was definitely around there. Boston would be somebody. I know that I think his visit here didn't go great last year, so maybe that is thrown out the window. But I think it's a list that I'd have to see more post-roster cuts before I could accurately gauge, all right, now you're into the season. What positions do you need help at? And then who are the veterans out there?
2 rows left. Starting 28th, Zach Veach. That goes to Travis.
Veach. He's on the Price is Right today, I saw.
Oh, nice. From Travis, hearing people assume Kane will make the 53 with so much competition and coming off the injury, are you as confident as everyone else that he will make it?
Travis, I think it's a decent question. Yeah. It sounds like the Colts aren't believing PUP is an option for Deion Kane. Put him on the physically unable to perform list for whatever it is, 8 weeks, something like that. That could be a way to let him heal and get to your, open up a spot on the 53-man roster for time being. But I think they feel like Deion Kane can contribute this year. So I don't think that is necessarily an option. I don't know. It's a decent question. They are really, really high on Deion Kane. And I'd put it at a 10 to 20% chance he doesn't make the team. And that might even be, to them, that might even be too high.
All right, Felix Rosenqvist?
Yeah, it's got a V in there. That confuses me.
I'm just going to go Felix Rosenqvist.
Yeah, go there.
He goes to Jake Wardell, and Jake asks, if the Colts players could race in the 500 against each other, who would be your top 3 finishers?
Colts players could race against each other in 500. Well, Campbell, duh. Or actually drive the car.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't really know because it's like they're not going to run 500 laps.
500 miles.
Or miles.
Yeah. Man, that'd take a while.
Yeah.
That's a big place.
We don't really know anything about him driving. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Paris Campbell. If he's got speed with legs, I assume he's not afraid to push the pedal to the metal. I could see Vinatieri being pretty good. He's a hunter.
His name just sounds like a driver.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what we should go with.
Alex Rossi, Marco Andretti.
How about Rigoberto?
Vinatieri. Okay.
Yeah.
Another driver sounding name.
We'll go with those 3.
Rounding out row 10, Pippa Man. And Pippa Man goes to sporadic regularity. Can you guys ask Frank Reich if they have some internal research that tells them that improved run game will help the play action and passing game in general? Because the publicly available statistical analysis overwhelmingly supports the opposite conclusion.
Yeah, a lot of analytics out there that say running the football does not necessarily lead to play action pass success. I think Frank Reich, that's part of it, but I think he also just wants to, in general, be balanced. I think he wants to establish a mindset of being a physical football team, which his team achieved at times last year. And then against Kansas City, they got hit in the mouth, I should say. I do think it's a fair question. And it is something that, we probably should ask Frank. But I think he more looks at it as just like, can you run it when you need to run it? Can you run it when you want to run it? Those sorts of things. I don't think it's like it helps play action. That's the end all be all. I think there are other factors involved to where he wants to be able to be as balanced as possible.
All right, the final row 11. Hopefully it's as exciting for these guys as it was on Sunday.
Man, that was thrilling. Fernando Alonso not qualifying and all that.
Yeah, on that last row shootout. Sage Karam goes to Clayton, and Clayton asks, what does the signing of Chad Kelly tell us about Andrew Luck's shoulder? Just kidding. My real question takes a few.
I was nervous.
Few paragraph breaks in there.
Give him an Indy Lights driver.
My real question is, how many draft picks from this year get cut from the practice squad, or get cut or go to the practice squad?
Ooh. I'd set the over under 2.5. I'd set the over under. Well, yeah, 2.5, and I'd probably go with 3. Speed, Green, Barton, Patterson, Barton, your offensive lineman, Speed, the linebacker, Green, the D end. Those guys, I think it's going to be a challenge to make the team. I'll say at least one of them makes the team. So yeah, probably 2 or 3 on that practice squad.
I'm having trouble locating our final 2.
Who we got? See if I can find it over here.
All right, Andrew Fisher, who will get James Hinchcliffe.
I got him.
And then Thomas, who will get Kyle Kaiser.
Andrew Fisher asks, what would be your starting offense and defense if you had to choose offensive starters from current defenders and vice versa? That question takes too long.
Yeah.
You know how much thinking that is?
It's a lot.
I'm sorry, Andrew. Ask that again in July.
Okay.
Who else are we looking for?
Thomas. Just Thomas is what I got.
Thomas. Where you at, Thomas? Oh, he asked about, not a question, but I want the throwback unis. No question for Thomas. He wants the throwback unis.
I mean, what are the Colts throwback unis?
I guess maybe the Thanksgiving ones we saw.
I feel like those are kind of made up just because we're like, we don't really have any. We'll put the horseshoe on the back.
I wouldn't mind them again. So, Thomas, if they can get those back for a couple games, I'm all. Are the Colts like the only team in the league without alternate uniforms, or how many? I'm sure there are other teams that don't have them.
I mean, yeah, your kind of classic teams really kind of just alternate their colors.
I mean, Dallas,
the Giants.
I would like to see something just a little different. I don't know. That's millennial me talking.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm good with it. You got what you're good at. Don't stray away. Just stick
you
to
are.
It.
Are you there really?
I mean, when you have uniforms like that, just stay. The Falcons, they always have to be doing something crazy because they're the Falcons. Like the Colts, it's just you're in the heartland. You are what you are. Just stick to it. It's fine.
I think there's a balance there between you have your traditionalness to it, and you have history, and pageantry means a lot, but at the same time, let's spice it up one time a year when you're playing the freaking Dolphins or somebody.
All right, that's fine.
All right, man. That was a pretty good haul. 33 questions from 33 drivers. So, Joey read off which driver you had. It'll be, hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. She hasn't really this week so far in Indy, but hopefully the rain holds off on Sunday. We'll probably be back next Thursday, Joey, with Memorial Day. The Colts won't get back to work until next Tuesday, and that means their open availability for OTA number, whatever it is, 5 or 6, will be next Wednesday. So let's plan on Thursday to come back with another edition of Kevin's Corner. 1070 The Fan, Joey. A lot of written content up there. I mentioned the notebook earlier from day one of OTAs. I got a Quentin Nelson story posting tomorrow that I thought Nelson actually gave one of his better media sessions that he's given earlier in the week. And then we'll also start to look at Kamoko Turi, I think, is an interesting name to watch as well. We'll get into him a little bit next week as well on the site. So we've got daily written content, typically 2 stories a day up on 1070thefan.com. So make sure you're checking that out. Colts coverage tab on the Kevin's Corner section there. And 1070 The Fan has your latest on the YouTube page as well. So thank you all for listening to this edition of Kevin's Corner. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe, and we'll talk to you next Thursday.